Right, I feel like I should do some kung fu now, but I'm going to hold off on that. Continuous delivery. You want to go faster, you want to remove drags in your process, you want to make your life easier, and ultimately you want to deliver more value to your customer. So continuous delivery is what you want. To use the cliche, to use the cliche, it's kind of a silver bullet, it's a real dream. In Populo, we've adopted a continuous delivery model over the last year or two. And our journey towards it has involved changing to small cross-functional teams, going from monolithic to microservice architecture, adopting Kanban, developing fully automated build pipelines. It was a massive chunk of work. And we achieved what we set out to. We were able to get features, bug fixes into production in minutes with no downtime whatsoever, no impact on customers. The power was immense. As a developer, it was just compared to where I was before to now, just the power was crazy. But as Spider-Man says, with great power comes great responsibility. And with that responsibility comes the fear. Deployments, each deployment you do brings risk. Each feature you release brings doubt. And because continuous delivery gives you complete ownership of what you do and how you do it, you therefore take on those emotions fully as well. For me, personally, that fear manifested itself in the form of frustration. We had made a massive investment in continuous delivery. All those things I mentioned there before, they didn't come for free. They took a lot of time at the expense of maybe feature or product work. We had no monthly release cycle to blame, no linty QA cycle to point to, but it turns out we weren't actually delivering value to our customers any faster than before, and we could back that up with our Kanban metrics, which I won't go into. We couldn't blame anyone. We had to look at ourselves and how we approached our work. I mentioned frustration, but that was only an excuse. It wasn't really frustration. People label and dress up their fears as many things, but you can trace all fears back to one of 5 fundamental fears. So this is the fear hierarchy. It's pretty scary stuff. But going back to Ryan's talk, it's time to get uncomfortable and it's time to face our fears. So first up is extinction. This is the fear of annihilation or of ceasing to exist. This is closely followed by mutilation, which is the fear of losing any part of our precious bodily structure. Think about being attacked by spiders, for instance. So, I'm just going to leave that up there now. Are you nervous when you deploy something? Do you say, avoid, it's Friday after lunch, no, I'm going to wait till Monday, But that to me smells, it's like a code smell. It's like there's something wrong there if you're not confident in what you're doing. But it's quite understandable. The code you write, the product you develop can be seen as an extension of yourself. So if you deploy something, if you happen to break it, there's an element of mutilation to it. And take that to an extreme case, take a security vulnerability that you might have released and been responsible for. That could lead to your extinction in terms of you're fired. Or worse, the company as a whole in terms of a serious breach. That could have serious consequences. So really we're better off not make any changes, go hide, as Ryan said, go to your comfortable place and don't go near it. But the good news is with continuous delivery, these fears are easy to tackle. So here are some techniques to address these first 2 fears. This is all basic stuff. Deploy small changes, cover all critical paths of your application with automated and synthetic tests, and have your rollback ready to go. This all promotes fast failure. The psychological safety net that these give you is absolutely huge. It can't be underestimated. You're never going to know everything. You can't control all the risk. You're not going to have 100% coverage of everything. You are going to fail, but don't let it block you. So, the next fear is loss of autonomy. Hands up who thinks that's worse than a spider. So you finish the task or story, it's working on your machine, fully tested, you're happy out with it, but then you still hesitate. Why do you wait to push it out to live to your users? Is it because once you click that button, once it goes out, you're no longer in control? But the good news, again, with continuous delivery, you can regain that control. You control the rollout of a feature. You control who sees what and when. And in terms of, say, a complex feature where there's lots of interactions, lots of dependencies, you also control who interacts with your piece of work, your code, and when they interact with it. Techniques here, you need to decouple deployments from releases. Don't think of as soon as you release it goes out in front of a user, that day is gone. You can do a dark deployment. nobody goes near it, it's just live in the environment. You can do a canary release where you send a certain percentage of traffic down to that new piece of code or that new service. This allows you to control the rollout of features and who is touching your piece of work. Again, you can really gain that sense of control from it. In terms of dependencies, they're obviously unavoidable in big stories and big features, but you manage how they're resolved and when. Think of the speed that continuous delivery gives you. You could now just release a stubbed service temporarily for a couple of days just to get you over a blocker. This really helps increase your flow and get that speed that you're looking for. So with all this here, which you're now back in control and you're happy to release, but this leads to the next fear, which is fear of separation. It's not great, is it? No, the fear of abandonment, rejection, and loss of connectedness. That's the fear of separation. So people, I know about you, but I definitely do, you can have a tendency to avoid feedback. Negative or even passive feedback can be taken as a form of rejection. It's very, very tough to take. As developers, we love our users, we have that connection with them, we're doing stuff for them, and then say nobody ends up using the feature. Or you get negative feedback saying, oh, this is absolutely crap, what were you doing? That sense of connection that you had with them can very quickly evaporate. That can lead on to procrastination. We'll just hang on to it for another little while, we'll polish it a small bit more, maybe refactor it, kind of drift into scope creep, when really the original requirement was long fulfilled and should have been released. Really the problem is, what if no one loves it? What if no one loves what you do? It's a very tough question, and it's easier to avoid these questions. But instead, to make continuous delivery work and get that flow that you're looking for, you need to be ruthless in questioning the value that you're delivering for your customer. And the speed of iteration that continuous delivery gives you here is your best friend. So you take, tracer bullet development is a term, but you take the smallest vertical slice, you develop it, you deploy it, you get feedback, and you iterate again. This feedback is the key piece. You get qualitative user testing, user metrics, quantitative feedback. The power of this is it facilitates very honest discussions. Has this piece of work delivered value? If so, then can we do more? You might have invested a lot at this stage, and you can ask yourself some tough questions up front. If not, why didn't it work? What was the problem there? And probably the toughest of all question, if it didn't work, was it down to you? What did you do? What did you contribute or not contribute to the situation you found yourself in? Again, this last question is very uncomfortable, and it can reinforce another fear, the fear of being found out. And that leads to the final level on the hierarchy, which is ego death. I said I'd go nice and neat at the end there. Ego death is the fear of humiliation, shame, or any other self-disapproval that threatens the loss or integrity of the self. It's very psychological. But in other words, every developer I have ever met is a good proponent of imposter syndrome. This is the need to prove ourselves to others, but really it's you trying to prove yourself to yourself. For me personally, this is a bit of therapy here right now, but I found myself accepting features maybe that were badly formed, badly understood, too big. It's a kind of familiar story. And rather than kind of, oh, that's terrible requirements, I got that. Rather than looking at why was I taking on these features? Really it's because I wanted to prove myself, prove that I could do it. Say, even if it was a bit dicey, no, I can make this work. But when you take on those features and say it could drift on a month or two, and there's this mounting sense of shame and humiliation, when you don't live up to these expectations and you can't make it work, and reality was you were never going to make it work. But with continuous delivery, you put in all this effort into adopting all this technology. But for it to work, to find the flow, it really requires, for you and for your team and for your department, it requires honesty and transparency. There's no more hiding and wallowing in self-doubt. You need to be explicit in your concerns, where you see your gaps, even if those gaps are in you and your knowledge. So, this is simple. Just have honest conversations. Defining value is a great place to start here. It opens up those conversations. Straight away, identify what you are most unsure about and bring that pain forward and tackle the riskiest piece first. Do a technical spike. Do a small alpha release. Again, with continuous delivery, releases are free. Just do them. These bring any technical blockers or need for further training, further resources, further manpower to the surface. Don't let your inner doubts about yourself fester. You can work through them bit by bit. And each doubt that you do overcome will increase your chances of bringing you true success. That success you were looking for back when you said, no, continuous delivery is the answer. So you can relax now. We've reached the top of the fear hierarchy. Congratulations. It wasn't that bad. I guess what I have learned through this journey is that the best tech, the best pipelines, the best processes won't help you achieve what you're capable of. Can I have 2 more slides? Please? Okay. This brings us, most problems in software delivery are related to teams and people, not the tech. So this brings in the need for some double loop learning. Most people are caught up here in a plan, act, react cycle. You need to take the time to analyze your assumptions, your behavior, your mental model, what you're bringing to the table. It is through this process that you finally start improving and finding that flow that you were looking for. So in summary, continuous delivery is the ability to get changes of all types, including new features, etc., into production, into the hands of users safely, quickly, and sustainably. In my opinion, the sustainability is the most valuable piece here. The honest conversations, the reduced anxiety, the increased opportunity for learning and growth really help you and your team be happier and deliver more value. And for me, continuous delivery was an enabler for me to work through, and conquer my fears. And I hope this presentation will help you start thinking about conquering yours.